As Chief Operations Officer, at the highest level, my responsibility is to oversee and to direct the day-to-day operations within Bottlecapps. So each department, singularly, how they operate, processes, procedures, systems, as well as how the departments interact together, all obviously in efforts to reach the quality standards and the goals the company has set out for itself. Quality is really at the forefront of everything we're trying to accomplish at Bottlecapps. Each of our customer bases, from retailers to distributors to brands, and then even our own team members themselves, we're wanting to rate them based on those quality standards. So from basic KPIs that we assign to different departments and team members to a bit more qualitative approaches where we're focused on giving health scores to our customers or our clients and making sure that those health scores are continuing to climb and improve over time. Quality is definitely something that we feel can differentiate us in the space, and it sets us apart from any competition that might be out there. I think in business, especially the higher that you go, challenges are a part of the process. Trying to avoid them altogether is an impossible task. So first and foremost is embracing challenge and seeing it as a way to improve or to become better on the other side. We've had challenges at Bottlecapps like anyone else. COVID was such a disruptor not only to our company but the world. And so you had to adapt, and on the fly we had to learn how to go remote, keep our productivity levels high, also while expanding our business. The silver lining was that COVID really lent itself to e-commerce enterprises, and so we had to both grow and go remote all at the same time, a unique challenge that most companies don't really ever have to face. So my team will laugh. We've talked data for probably the last 4 or 5 years, looking to improve our own data, looking to leverage third-party data, really looking to drive our business forward from a startup, small scale, to more of an enterprise level business, utilizing data and making data-related decisions. Today, from our own metrics that we keep from our customer base, all the way to, like I said, resourcing and researching industry data, it definitely is a big part of what we look to drive our decision-making with. When it comes to industry or trend type information, I think the first thing is you got to stay curious. From top down, the goal is to always be learning, growing in your knowledge base. There's so much information out there on the internet specific to beer, wine, and spirits. Keeping up with those trends, keeping up with where the industry is headed, it really is a top-down approach. From there, I think the flexibility comes from allowing your team members the freedom to make their own decisions, the freedom to add their own input, to come up with their own ideas and really own those. And that creates an environment where problem solving is at the root of what we've tried to establish at Bottlecapps, thus allowing us to be nimble. Things don't always go as planned. That's part of the equation, but we already know what the next step is, and that's to dig in, stay flexible, be nimble, and problem solve. 2022, we kicked around an idea within our client services department of making more of a team approach out of what had traditionally been a very linear or vertical type of a role-based department. And in 2023, we actually initiated it in January, and it has proved, tenfold dividends. Conceptually, the way it works is there are 3 divisions within our client services department that were all operating independently of each other. And because of that, there were gaps in communication and in processes. We created this team where each division represents a single team member within a 3-team approach. I think that, conceptually was realized early on to increase communication, to hold accountability to KPIs and to goals and targets. And ultimately, it did something we really didn't anticipate, and that was to strengthen the culture within the department. Because they were so much more connected than the past, they really started to lean on each other and each other's experience. Cross-training became another extension of this in terms of a positive outcome, to where now, where they were focused on one role and one role only, because they're spending so much time with other division team members, they're learning what that team member tackles in their day-to-day. So we've had a much more well-rounded talent or resource when it's all said and done. One of the things that we really tried to focus on is giving folks the freedom to make decisions, giving folks the freedom to put in their 2 cents. And in doing that, really props up a level of excellence within them. They're trying to outdo themselves. They're trying to do more than they did the day, the week, the month before. So I don't have to, instill a lot of that. Granted, we're always pushing to outperform last month's numbers or last quarter's numbers, and that'll always be the case, but we have fun with it. There are instances where we even add a little bit of competition into the mix, or we have incentives like bonuses, commissions that obviously are going to play a role in that. But at the end of the day, we're all here for a reason, and that reason is Bottlecapps, and we want to see this thing to the highest level of success that it can be. And so when you hire the right people, you give them the freedom to own and be accountable to their role, and then you continue to give them opportunities to flourish. I feel like the outcome is that of continual improvement, continual progress, and we've seen that here. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we are a technology company, e-commerce focused specifically, but technology is ever evolving, and it's something that is changing on the fly continuously. So we're having to stay up to date on what's out there in terms of technological offerings, where we can get involved or where we can mimic specific technologies that are there, but also how we can utilize in an operational standpoint technologies that are there that help serve us in terms of our efficiencies. How can we automate processes that before had always been manual? How can we double dip, if you will, and gather information for 2 different places in one technology? And so it's certainly a way that we can enhance our offerings to our client base, but also enhance our day-to-day operations and efficiencies within the company as well. It's a team effort. Our team of executives, we have weekly meetups and then constant communication, but we have some focused on financial risk, others focused on operational risk, and I think it's really just making sure that our daily and weekly downloads are as thorough and detailed as they can be, and then we share the responsibility of making those decisions. So we don't want to be so risk adverse that we aren't aggressive in our thinking, that we aren't flexible in the ideas that we're able to come up with. We start there, and then from there we'll backtrack into kind of risk management or risk adverse management. I think there's a lot. Obviously at Bottlecapps, we have a lot of offerings at different customer levels. I've spoke about the retailer being really at the core of our industry, but distributors and their data needs, or brands and their advertising needs, these are all parts of what we do. So strategically, always trying to keep the 3-tier at the heart of our decision making and our development. At the same time, I think making sure we don't lose sight of who the customer is and giving them and providing to them what it is that they need most or what they share with us that they want. So a strategy for a retailer may be a little different, or it may vary from that of a distributor or from a brand within the space. I think strategically, there are a lot of trends that are starting to catch hold in the industry. We want to be at the forefront of those, and so that's one of the things that we're constantly reviewing, evaluating, and looking for as opportunities to make a splash. Yeah, I think this goes in line with the philosophy that I've tried to practice for most of my career, and that is always having a clear vision out in front of you of where you want to go and ultimately what the end destination is, but not being consumed by it and making a point to retract all the way back to what can I do today to get me one step closer to where I want to be. And so we've trained in this kind of thinking to our staff and to our people, but it's a constant reminder. And I think you can only do what you can do, and that one step at a time mentality keeps us on track. And then when the time comes and when it's needed, stepping back a little bit higher level and looking out onto the horizon of, is this directionally where we always intended on going? So it's a constant back and forth between long-term vision and day-to-day execution. I think anybody that's looking to be in operations specifically, you have to have a love and maybe even a knack for creating systems, creating processes, and then refining those systems and processes, always tweaking to get a little bit better. So there's a level of dissatisfaction that kind of always exists, but it's interesting to you. It's almost fun as a part of the puzzle that you're always trying to solve. The other thing that I think any executive would tell you is hire talented people. People that are more talented than you have knowledge and experience in areas that you don't, and then give them the freedom to do what they do. I think one of the strengths of Bottlecapps is we've collected and assembled such a talented team from all different walks of life and allow them to make their mark on this company as we go. Yeah, I think we've had a lot of victories along the way, and for some of us, we've been here for the whole ride. You know, as employee number 2, I've seen this company be nothing but a room of 3 people to now we have over 80 full-time employees on the staff between here and remote. So I think one of the biggest milestones for us was landing our biggest account to date, which is Specs Wine and Spirits. They're Texas-based, so we all were very familiar with them, or at least those of us that are here in Texas. They were kind of one of those whales, the great white whale that we had always had in the back of our minds, but weren't sure that they were attainable. And so getting to meet them, the family themselves, how they do business, and then understanding that we did have something to offer them, that was the start of something big for Bottlecapps. When we actually closed the deal, we brought them on, and then we were able to see them flourish through COVID because of our technology. It gave all of us a shot in the arm, and we knew we were here to stay, and we knew that this business was going to be something big, and we've carried that momentum, for 2 or 3 years now. So Bottlecapps is a technology solutions company. We deal specifically within the beer, wine, and spirits sector, and we build technologies to help sell their products online or to become more digital. So mobile apps, websites, in-store digital signage are really at the core of our business, but we also have marketing services. We also have professional graphic designers on staff. We do our own print swag or digital marketing for our retailers as well. So ultimately, we're a full-service e-commerce solution for beer, wine, and liquor stores. Yeah, Canada was a big expansion opportunity for us. There's not a lot of competition from an e-commerce standpoint in that market today. Even some of the big players, your Instacarts, your DoorDashes, they're just now paving a way for themselves in that market. So we're right alongside them. We to date have made considerable growth in Canada, mostly Western Canada, where it's still privatized business for beer, wine, and spirit. But I think we're north of 50 retail locations in that market, and that will very soon be 75 and 100, just looking at our onboarding pipeline. Very excited as to what that market, should I say, can become and will become. Yeah, I think that's what our company's mission was when we first set out to do business. We had identified the independent beer, wine, and liquor store as an underserved segment of the industry and an opportunity, obviously, for us to do business and to help prop them up. Our goals right out of the gate were to provide a service and technology that could rival big box retail, but at the price tag that a small business owner could afford. Today, we've evolved into a roster of both big, small, and everything in between, so our technology has spoke for itself, but I think our product does just that. It gives them access to what would cost millions of dollars if they were to try to go at their own in an out-of-the-box solution. If you're a supplier in the space, whether you're a single brand and only a handful of SKUs, or you have portfolios like some of the biggest out there, we want to put you in a position to gain share of voice with your end consumer. The end customer is gravitating and migrating to online. We know this post-COVID. And so we can get you front and center where they're shopping, where they're looking to buy products, and we can make sure that your brand stands out. The data and the analytics behind not only the ordering and the sales of the brand, but also of the consumer that is buying the product. Our Bottle Sense offering and our data analytics tools really paint a more clear picture of what your brands are doing on our platform, but also could be assumed that they're doing across e-commerce in general. So Bottlecapps, we really want to represent a company that understands alcohol and the 3-tier structure, that understands that at each tier within that 3-tier, there is an audience to be had. So retailers, distributors, brands, they all have their own needs. And where can Bottlecapps situate itself to be a conduit to allowing them to do their job and their business better? Obviously, technology is at the root of what we offer, but we really look to be more full service. And where can we layer in other offerings, whether that be marketing, whether that be systems, whether that be networking within the space. I see Bottlecapps in the future continuing to blaze trails that haven't been blazed to date and lead from the front on different initiatives that we have planned for and we look to execute in the current future, but on into the years as we continue our path forward.